Hey gang, this is Steve with Guitar Center. We're at NAMM 2020. We're in the Universal Audio booth with Thomas. We're going to check out the Apollo and Aero line, and we're going to get a little rundown on who these interfaces are perfect for. So, you know, a lot of Guitar Center customers, they're ready to get into recording, and they can be supported by Universal Audio from a whole range of different interfaces. So we'd like to just sort of understand which one they should go for depending on what sort of perspective or point in their sort of production career they are.
Okay, well, we have Aero first up, which is the cheapest way into the like a Universal Audio interface platform, or really up to the Apollos. So Aero is really it's designed for portable production. So if you're starting out and you don't know where you're going to be, or you're a student and you're traveling to and from locations, you need to work, you know, in a dorm room or whatever, then if you have a MacBook Pro, for example, you can just connect Thunderbolt 3 to the Aero. It powers it. You can travel with that, and it's got 2 preamps. You've got speakers, output for left and right for your loudspeakers. You have a headphone output, and it's just a really nice self-contained box. It comes with a single core of our DSP, or what we call a solo chip on board, and it comes with a set of plugins you can get going. So if you just want some really good guitar sounds on the go, you get a Marshall Plexi Classic plugin included, so you can straight away start recording guitar parts. You can do bass sounds. So I really would put that down as like the singer-songwriter box, where you're not so much sort of focused on being a power user, but more you just want a really high-quality audio interface that can be powered by your laptop, right? So that's the Aero. And then moving up from Aero, we go into the Apollo range, where you hit the Apollo Twin, of which we have actually 3 versions. We have the Apollo Twin USB, which runs on Windows. So if you're a Windows user from Windows 7 upwards, you can run that Twin there. Or you can go to the Apollo Twin X, and that's Thunderbolt 3, which then works on Windows 10 with Thunderbolt, or it works on Mac, right? So they're no longer bus powered. They need a power supply, so they're more of your, I'm sitting down seriously in a studio, project studio, home studio thing. But you still have 2 microphone inputs, a guitar input if you need to do DI. You have a headphone output and the ability to run 2 pairs of speakers with the Twin. So you can actually have more of a, let's call it like a small, contained, high-quality, world-class production studio. That's the Twin, right? And the Twin Duo and the Twin X Quad, they just give you more DSP. So if you go up to the Quad, you have 4 chips, you can run more plugins, more processing. So I would say that's really where you start. But the beauty with the Twins is they also work as like a remote monitor control for the Apollo racks. So as you go up from the Twin to things like the X4, that's sort of like a Twin with more ins and outs. But then when you get to the Apollo X racks, we have 4 models, the X6, X8, the X8P, and the X16. And really there, you need to make the choice based off, well, how many microphones am I recording? But they're world-class, elite-class conversion, I should say, really. They're the best performing rack mount interfaces on the market. They have hexacore DSP, so 6 chips. So we go from, as you can see, Aero on 1. Twin starts at 2 chips, then 4. X4 is 4 chips. And then you have 6 chips in all the rack units. It's really for your power user, professional studio. And so X6 has 2 preamps. It's like a rack mount Twin with more power, if you think about it that way, if you want the rack mount format. If you go to an X8, you have 4 preamps, so that's then recording drums, but you still have an ability to run ADAT, ins and outs, etc. And then the X8P is really what I would class as like the flagship box for anyone recording real instruments. So you can have 8 microphones connected and do drums, or a small band. And then when you move to the X16, what you have is effectively a world-class line-in, line-out converter that's designed to be used with analog consoles. Somebody who has a summing system or an SSL or an API desk or something like that. So that's like your, world-class multi-track recording studio, down to project studios recording themselves, lots of drum mics, down to traveling, and desktop units. That's sort of the range of UA. And all of them let you run our UAD plugins for mixing and tracking in low latency. So that's
very cool, Thomas. So basically, you guys have something for any level of recording experience. And you guys are also launching a recording software?
That's right, yeah. So with the Thunderbolt range, so that is Aero, the Twin X, and the X4, and then all the X racks, you get for free now the Luna recording system, which will be out in spring 2020, so in a few months from now. That's the first big headline. This is a recording system included with your Apollo, free of charge. It's a multi-track recording platform, a MIDI creation environment. It lets you transform your Apollo or Aero into a analog sounding, really inspirational creation platform with like the fastest workflows and just incredible sound quality that you'd know and love from a brand like UA, right? So inside Luna, we're running something called Lunar Extensions and Lunar Instruments. So for the first time, long awaited for UA, people have asked us to do instruments, so you can play with that beautiful sound quality of Universal Audio. These are now running within the Lunar system natively on your Mac, so we're now leveraging like the DSP interface range and how you get your low latency workflow. You can process sound on the interface in real time, but you can also take advantage of the Mac processing on your computer. So Lunar is Mac only, but you can run hundreds of tracks. You can have our integrated tape, the Lunar extensions of Oxide Tape and Studer across the session for that analog sound. We also have built-in Neve summing, so you can make your session sound like it's mixed on an 80 series Neve console from the 1970s. And then you can play instruments, Mini Moog, Ravel grand piano, and the Shape instrument, which lets you compose with a toolkit thing. So like it's a whole new world, right? So basically, pick your interface based off the ins and outs you need and the amount of power and your budget, and then dive into the world of Lunar as soon as we release it.
And how soon will that be out?
Well, we're hoping spring 2020, so within the next few months, but there's a lot to sort. It's an ambitious project.
Thank you, Thomas, so much for that super fast, super thorough Universal Audio Interface Buyer's Guide. Look for Luna coming soon to a Guitar Center near you, and check out more new from NAMM at guitarcenter.com.